Now to show you the more complex method of actually doing this. So say that there was more than one function that you wanted to pass it. So let me say that again. Say there was more than one function that your object could do. The jQuery way, as I said in the first bit of the tutorial, is you don't want to contaminate the namespace. So what you actually, so instead of, let's say I needed another function of drop $.fn.stream order.drop equals function. The way jQuery is designed, this is technically not the right way that they'd have you do it. So basically, I'm going to show you the right way that they say you should do it, and it's pretty simple, but it's just it can be simple if you understand the syntax. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say var methods equals that, and I generally have a cache as well. So $.fn blah, 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 blah. So I say var t equals get this, and then create the function. Sorry about that. Function get this elem, and then I just say var id equals elem dot data, and just say stream order id, and then when we actually come to creating the function, I'll actually give this a data attribute of stream order id, and basically I just realized that I've totally forgotten to do something very important, so moderately important anyway. It's just that something people like to do. So yeah, so like I was saying, where was I? Yeah, so I actually give this data attribute there, and then I'd simply say return cache ID, otherwise element. Okay, so the reason why I've done this is basically each time you do $selector, what you've actually done is created a new jQuery object, and what you actually want to do if you want to basically create the object. Wait, what am I saying? Sorry, I was reading a text message on my phone. Should really not do that when you're in the middle of a tutorial. Yeah, so what you really want to do is basically create a cache of all of your objects as it is. Say maybe it has some properties that you stored for that object, and you need to get that object. You basically just keep a cache, and then you use this function to basically get what you want to get. If you don't understand this syntax, this is a ternary condition. What basically it means is if condition is met, do true or do false. That's basically it. It's basically a simple if-else statement. You can get complicated with it, but if you're making it more complicated, you might as well just use an if-else statement. Yeah, so that's the first thing that we do. So now we're going to create a little function. I actually like having these the other way around. I don't like methods. Boom. That's how we do. And I'm just going to create a function in here. Come on. Like so. And what we do next is simply this. And now we're going to change this from options to method or options. In fact, I'm just going to, we know what it means, so I'm just going to call it MO just for typing sake. So if I do if, oh damn it, if methods MO, What I then want to be able to do, and this is what I meant about if you understand the syntax, it's simple, but if you don't understand the syntax, then it can get a little bit difficult. So the next thing we need to do is actually call this function. So it's as simple as doing this. So that's a return methods mo dot apply t, and then it's a array dot prototype dot call arguments 1. So let me explain what basically I've just done here. Whenever you call a function, so if I called a function, I'm going to call this function as usual function boom. Each function has an object, an array-like object. So var arg equals arguments. So each function has an array-like object called arguments. So say you had one parameter here. So you had one parameter here, we're going to call it s, and that's a string. But then you also wanted to be able to basically modify that string with one of the parameters that you've passed. So say you had an infinite amount of parameters, you didn't want to basically limit the amount of parameters your user could use, or you didn't want to have to basically make the user use an array. So do a param1, param2, dot dot dot, and then a param n. Then this object becomes useful. What I've done here, however, is I've converted it from an object into an array. What this means that I can do is I can apply it to the name of the function. Basically what that means is I have taken the, let me just try and explain this better. Apply basically says call this function and pass it these parameters, but these parameters are going to be in an array. But the first parameter, what that does, it says call this function, but I want this object to be what I'm going to set as parameter 1. Alright, whereas in this instance it's a call, and instead of actually what the way it's different is a call function does almost exactly the same thing, but apart from an array as parameter 2, you've got an unlimited amount of parameters that you can give it. So it's basically will be basically it's going to be parameter 1 is this, and parameter 2 through n is going to be whatever you want it to be. So depending on what you actually want to achieve, then you may want to pass it an array of parameters, or you may want to use the call function and pass it a limited amount of functions if you know what they're going to be. So what, oh wait, I've actually forgotten. Got slice. So basically what that does is it gives the function that I've called, it sets this to t, which is this, and then it sets the parameters to everything that I passed to stream order after my first parameter. So what this will then later allow me to do is say selector dot stream order function name and then params, and that's as simple as that. You could, if you've used the on event, that's will be sort of how, so on and then click, and then you have parameter 2 as your function. It's just as simple as that, really. And also it's if you've ever used a .css, some people do .css and then we'll say display, and then it will set the value, but then it's made you can also actually just do, whoops, got rid of it, display, none. Instead, you pass an object, etc., etc., etc. So the next thing, okay, so hold on. Mo refers to a method, call it. So I'm just going to copy and paste this down in the description, so if you don't really understand it, you can actually just, well, still use it, and eventually after time you will start to get a grasp of what it's actually saying. So the next thing I want to do is test whether I haven't actually passed anything, or whether what I have passed is an object. So let's say my my options that I want to pass the stream order have to be passed in an object. That's basically what I want to do. So what I want to do is else if object dot prototype dot toString dot call mo equals object or mo equals undefined. Now basically that's what I mean by this is this first bit here, object.prototype.toString.call. That's just a more precise way of doing what am I talking about? Of doing type of. So if we did this, so console.log type of that, and then we see what we're given back. Now some of you would have been expecting object, sorry, some of you would have been expecting array, but actually most things, in fact all of these, everything in JavaScript is actually a type of array. So a string is object string, a file object is object file, an array is object array. So let's do this instead. Control C. Okay, that wasn't entirely smart. Okay, boom. So you can see object array there, and just to make sure I didn't lie to you, object string. There you go. It's just a more precise way of doing type of. So the user has passed us nothing, or has passed us options for the default function, call it. So nice and simple, we just do return methods init dot apply, and then we want to do t, and this time we're gonna leave the arguments object as it is, because we don't have to take off the first parameter, because we want everything from the first parameter to the last parameter that we were passed, and then it's just as simple as that. And then the last thing we want to do is we want to say the user has passed us something dodgy, give an error, and just want to say $.error, and then undefined function. It's always good to actually give the name, although most good stream order, undefined function, undefined method or property. It's nice and simple as that. Generally not gonna let properties come out. So that's basically how you create a more complex a more complex object jQuery plugin. That's I got there in the end. Do forgive me. I was like, what the hell am I talking about? So then the next thing we can do is say method 2 is function, and then last method is also function, like so. So let's say console.log ops, and then we're gonna listen for options here, and then here we're gonna say that we're gonna listen for options on all of them. Options, so console.log method 2 ops, and last method console.log ops, and another, I'm going to say method 3 ops, and another, just to show you that this actually works. So we're going to come back in here. So we're going to call that there. We're going to give it any options. We might as well. So thing equals dot selector, bang. Do a refresh and voiding all embarrassment. Did I call it this or thing? Oh, I did actually call it this. I was like, what the hell just happened there? So now we can actually do, and I think I called it method 2 thing equals dot boom. If you're wondering where I got that from, it was actually the fairy advert. You know, the one where he comes out and he's like, yeah, I'm wearing this shirt. Boom. I was like, it's stuck with me. Good advertising. So you can see there, method 2, boom. And then last method, I think I called it, last method thing equals boom. Kag equals mouth. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. I just had got into Welsh for a bit. I don't know. I met this cute Welsh chick, and I was like, yeah, and then slightly got into, yeah. And then just to show you it working there. So those are the three methods that are passed. So you can see that what we've actually designed works as we expected it to work. And I don't know if you can hear it, but I can actually feel it. My voice is starting to go. So, you know, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have learned anything. If you have any problems, you know, just leave a comment and I will get back to you, this, that, and the other. I've been naughty and not actually commented my code, and let me just do the same thing in here. Var t equals this, return t. I'm going to say if t dot length is more than 1, t dot each, and then return t here instead, t dot each function. I'm going to say no longer t. I'm going to say this dot stream order ops. If I can type, else if t not t dot length. So if you know, 0 is double equals false. And by that, treble equals is a strict comparison. Double equals is a comparison that doesn't do any type matching. So 0 double equals false. So if not t length, so if the length of the selector is 0, just return t, like that. So basically, if we're not referring to anything, just don't do anything at all. We're not, I don't even think I'm spelling this word correctly. We're not referring to anything, return. And Like I said a minute or two ago now, as always, thank you very much for watching this tutorial. Bye bye.